Yoda is undoubtedly one of the most popular characters in the history of pop culture, and he's quite a mysterious character who hasn't revealed much about his origins or history. While fans have learned more about him over the years through the Star Wars prequels and comic series, Yoda's anatomy and even species remains a mystery. From his green skin to his short height, Yoda appears to be quite different from other members of the Jedi Order, and he is also notably a lot older than other characters in Star Wars. Today, we will explore all aspects of this mysterious creature's physiology, and we'll tell you all about Master Yoda. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You are late. We have been waiting for you, Master Yoda.
Which species exactly does Yoda belong to? Ever since Yoda first appeared in The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, fans have tried to guess his origins and species. However, Yoda's identity remains a mystery, as George Lucas had refrained from naming his species or exploring his history. In fact, Lucas had also forbidden the writers to explore Yoda's backstory in any of the movies, as he was determined to keep his identity a secret in order to maintain the mystery that had surrounded his character. Even after more members of his species, such as Yaddle and Grogu, were introduced, they were referred to as members of the Yoda species, without any specific description of their homeworld. Fans have often tried to learn more about Yoda's species, but George Lucas continues to be tight-lipped about it and doesn't divulge any information about his exact species. Some fans even had a theory that he belonged to the Will species that had a deep connection with the Force, but Lucas denied this theory. Some information about Yoda's species was explored in the Mandalorian series that introduced Baby Yoda, aka Grogu. So far, only Grogu and Yaddle belong to the same species as Yoda, and they all have a solid connection to the Force and some similar physical features. However, a lot of details about this species remain a mystery, and we hope to uncover it someday in the future.
You do not fear me. No. Exist. You do not anymore.
All about the longevity of members of his species. Since Yoda was one of the very few members of his species who had managed to survive during the events of the Star Wars saga, the actual average lifespan of the species remains unknown. However, Yoda certainly has a lifespan of up to 900 years, indicating that his species' lifespan must be at least a few centuries long. In fact, Yoda was the oldest character introduced in the franchise until it was revealed that Maz Kanata is 1,000 years old. Despite being over 900, Yoda had no difficulty moving around or fighting, and his connection to the Force helped him maintain his strength even after aging. Of course, it is entirely possible that Yoda was the only creature in his species to survive for centuries due to his own powers and Force sensitivity, and his species' lifespan could be much lesser. What's the deal with light green and Yoda? Yoda's green skin is one of the most intriguing features of his physiology, and it appears that his entire species has green skin. There has been no solid explanation behind his green color, and we don't even know whether he is warm or cold-blooded. Usually, animals have green skin to help them camouflage and blend in with leaves in nature. Yoda spent many years in a lush environment on Dagobah, so his green skin served as natural camouflage. One reason for Yoda's green skin could be explained with the help of the anatomy of frogs, which are also green in color. Luke Skywalker once even referred to Yoda as a little swamp frog, and Yoda's skin may have some similarity to a frog's. Frogs have three types of layered pigment cells: melanophores, iridophores, and xanthophores that work together to form green skin. The bottom layer of melanophores stores melanin and is dark in color, while the middle layer consists of iridophore cells that appear as tiny cellular mirrors. These cells absorb sunlight and then reflect blue light to the top layer of cells known as xanthophores, which have a yellow pigment. The blue light that travels to the xanthophores then passes through these yellow pigmented cells, appearing green in color. In this manner, Yoda's cells could operate in a similar way to give him a green-skinned appearance. Moreover, Green also indicates the presence of chlorophyll, which is essential for photosynthesis in plants. There is a species of slug known as Elysia chlorotica, which is photosynthetic. It eats algae and then uses the chloroplast in this algae to absorb energy from the sun. There is a possibility that Yoda operates similarly, and therefore he's green in color, but this theory is not confirmed. Besides having light green skin, Yoda's blood was also green. Yoda has no apparent reason for having green blood except that it matches well with his green skin and overall character appearance. How Force-sensitive was Yoda? The Force is essentially an energy field that binds the galaxy together, and the power of the Force also lends special powers to the Jedi, Sith, and other creatures that were sensitive to this energy. Yoda and his entire species were genetically known to be Force-sensitive, and they were even feared by others due to the power they wielded. While his species diminished over time, Yoda remained one of the few members of his species, and often put his Force sensitivity to use while being a part of the Jedi Order. He could identify anyone's intentions, and even know if someone was an ally or an enemy just by touching them. He could even sense the true feelings of other Force wielders by standing near them, which proved extremely helpful whenever Yoda wished to confirm anyone's identity. Yoda also displayed rare Force abilities that were never displayed by any Jedi in the movies, and he once even deflected Force lightning with his hands. At the end of the Revenge of the Sith, Yoda fought Darth Sidious and used his bare hands to deflect Sidious's Force lightning. He then used his palms to build more energy in his hands and sent this lightning right back at Sidious. Even powerful characters like Mace Windu didn't have the ability to deflect dark side lightning with their bare hands, further indicating just how powerful Yoda truly is.
Not if anything to say about it. I have.
Is Yoda among the most powerful Jedi? Yoda has been defending the galaxy from any attempts that would cause a disturbance in the Force for ages, and he is undoubtedly one of the most powerful Jedi to have ever lived. His peers immensely respect him for his wisdom and fighting skills, and he even served as the Grand Master of the Jedi High Council. Yoda was a teacher and friend to the Jedi, and was undoubtedly one of the most powerful among them. During the Clone War, Yoda had once stepped in to defend Jedi Master Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker, and he had single-handedly even defeated Darth Tyrannus. This was the first time Yoda displayed his fighting skills on screen, establishing him as one of the most powerful Jedi. Yoda had once even traveled to the center of the universe and learned how to manifest his existence even after dying. He went through a series of tests to prove worthy of this knowledge, and even confronted his inner dark side and showed great wisdom while dealing with this darkness. Yoda had once even confronted the spirit of the deadly Darth Bane to prove his worth, and he had emerged victorious at the end of this test. Yoda had shown his strength and power as one of the most accomplished Jedi on more than one occasion, and he had dealt with his external enemies and inner conflict with great patience and tact. He was very knowledgeable and wise, and surpassed all other Jedi in these aspects. He is also the most powerful Force user in the entire saga, and he can manipulate objects and reality, see into the distant future, and even return as a Force ghost in the end. There is also the question of whether Luke is more powerful than Yoda, since the Legends universe shows Luke as a powerful Jedi who probably even surpassed Yoda in his abilities. However, the Legends universe has various narratives, and Yoda remains unmatched in powers among the Jedi. He was also more powerful than any Sith Lords in the universe, and he had lived through 9 centuries and even played a very important role in events such as the Clone Wars, the rebirth of the Jedi, and even returned as a Force ghost in the end. He could even experience Force visions, and he foresaw the fall of the Jedi and his death. Yoda had studied and mastered the Force during his lifetime, and essentially devoted his entire life to it. While he is not the most powerful Jedi of all time, he commanded the respect of his students, and he is certainly one of the most powerful and wisest Jedi of his time. Why is Yoda so short, and how does it help? Yoda's height is barely 2.17 feet, which makes him stand out among other members of the Jedi Order, who are usually around 5 to 7 feet tall. While this makes him the shortest member of the Order, he seems to be even shorter than most of his species on average. While an average member of his species is 2.3 feet or fewer, Yoda is a couple of inches shorter, and a lot lighter than them. He hardly weighs 13 kilograms, but his weight and short physique proved to be quite helpful when it comes to combat. One would assume that Yoda's height would be a disadvantage during a lightsaber duel, since he can hardly even reach his opponent's waist. However, Yoda has managed to turn his height into a weapon, and he uses his small size to jump around his opponent and keep them running in circles. He keeps leaping around his opponent, causing them to get distracted as they keep turning around constantly to face Master Yoda. Shouldn't 3 fingers and clawed hands affect his fighting skills? Yoda's physical features significantly differ from most species in the Star Wars universe, and he even had tridactyl hands like the rest of his species. This means he has 3 fingers on each hand, and his fingers taper off in sharp claws that give him a firm grip. Almost all species in the Star Wars franchise had at least 4 fingers, so Yoda's unique hands made him stand out among others. While this also meant that Yoda could not hold a lightsaber in the same manner as other characters, it was seen that the Jedi Master had no difficulty wielding a lightsaber or even a sword. Yoda's 3 fingers and clawed hands were not a disadvantage in any fights, and Yoda also had 3-toed feet. While Yoda had tridactyl feet in The Phantom Menace, it was seen that the number of toes differed in some of the other movies. Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi showed that Yoda had 4 toes, while some toy figurines of the character even have 5 toes. Yoda had 3 toes in the front and 1 in the back in The Empire Strikes Back, which means that he has anisodactyl feet. These differences only add to the confusion surrounding his toes, but the 2006 New Essential Guide to Alien Species stated that he has 5 toes. Yoda also has bird feet, with short, bulky toes that taper off in claws, which are usually useful for birds maintaining a grip on a branch.
Jedi Master Yoda. You seek Yoda.
You know him?
How do his ears express emotions? Yoda's ears are iconic. They're large, pointy, and certainly quite noticeable since Yoda is a short and small character. Yoda's ears perform a range of functions besides hearing, and they also have the ability to express his emotions. His ears are directly connected to his emotions, and they curl or even unfurl depending on his feelings at any given point in time. Of course, his ears don't just move based on his emotions. It has been noted that his ears bend down and even start shaking whenever Yoda focuses his attention on the Force, and they are also quite well tuned to his emotional state.
Put that down. Now Hey! It's my dinner.
Is Yoda carnivorous? While we have not seen Yoda consume much food in the franchise, it is believed that Yoda's species is primarily carnivorous, and meat makes for a good portion of their diet. There is a lot of mystery surrounding Yoda and his species, and one of their notable features are their sharp teeth. Yoda's teeth are as sharp as most predatory animals and can easily pierce through his prey's skin. Yoda's sharp teeth and large claws are both indicators of predatory behavior, and these sharp teeth are also present in Grogu's mouth, indicating that their entire species may be carnivorous. Can Yoda reproduce? Not much is known about Yoda's species and their means of reproduction, and most of the information surrounding Yoda's ability to reproduce is merely speculation. Yoda was a dedicated Jedi who believed in the Jedi Code, and it is unlikely that he went against the code and got attached to someone or reproduced with them. Moreover, fans have also theorized that Yoda's species probably reproduces asexually and can reproduce individually without mating with another species member. There are no records of this species' way of reproduction, and there most certainly has not been any information on Yoda mating with anyone for the purpose of having kids. Nevertheless, members of his species keep appearing in the show, which suggests that they do reproduce in some form, either sexually or asexually. At one point, it was believed that Yoda mated with Yaddle to create Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, but this is merely speculation and has not been confirmed by any writers or creators. Baby Yoda just got his name due to his resemblance to Yoda, and it has been suggested that his species is a part of a fungus family that can reproduce asexually. However, asexual beings usually produce hundreds of kids within a short period, and this has not been the case for Yoda's species. Thus, it seems probable that they might be reproducing by mating with someone, but Yoda has most definitely steered clear of any such relations. How was Baby Yoda born? Baby Yoda, also known as Grogu, first appeared in the Mandalorian television series, and his birth was even linked to the involvement of the Force. It is rarely seen that the Force is involved in such matters, and Baby Yoda even belonged to the same species as Yoda and Yaddle. It seems that Baby Yoda was conceived without the involvement of any other characters, and that he was manifested into existence by the Force. While some fan theories even speculate that Baby Yoda is Yoda and Yaddle's son, these are mere fan theories, and nothing as such seems to be confirmed.
Master Yoda.
Does Yoda really need a walking stick? Yoda was often seen using a walking stick in order to move around from one place to another, but it was seen that he does not really need a stick to move around in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. This raises the question of whether he really needed a walking stick, since Yoda could move and even perform flips in the air without any aid. A theory suggests that Yoda only uses the cane as a crutch to rely on, and that he does not need any help moving around. As the saga progresses, Yoda uses a walking stick in The Empire Strikes Back, which suggests that Yoda needed the cane to move around after having aged quite a bit. He even used a floating chair in the prequel to move around, which further supports the theory that he needed a stick to move around after growing older. Another view suggested that Yoda's stick might have mind-altering properties and special powers, but there is little support or evidence to confirm this theory. While Yoda could always boost his energy with the help of the Force, there were limitations to his power, and he did need to rely on his stick. Additionally, Yoda's stick was made out of edible guymer, which means that Yoda probably even snacked on his stick while traveling or moving around.
Give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no...
Why does Yoda talk the way he does? Yoda usually talks in a deliberate manner that demands the attention of everyone around him, and it is suggested that he talks in this way so that his students closely listen to him. His manner of speaking commands attention and respect. This theory was mentioned in the novel Fate of the Jedi: Backlash. Yoda essentially speaks in an object-subject-verb manner, meaning that he words sentences in a way that jumbles up the sentence structure and makes it hard for others to follow. For instance, he once said, "Much to learn you still have." Another theory suggests that he talks so strangely due to his connection with the Force. This theory was proposed when Grogu, another member of the same species as Yoda, was a 50-year-old toddler who could only emote his thoughts through the Force's connection. It was suggested that Grogu would also grow up and talk just like Yoda because that is how their species perceived the Force. This essentially means that Yoda learned to feel in a particular manner through the Force before he even learned how to speak or communicate out loud, which also explains why he talks so peculiarly. Can Yoda die, or is his species immortal? Since Yoda died at the age of 900 in Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, it is established that his species was not immortal. He died 4 years after the Battle of Yavin 4, after having engaged in a duel with Darth Sidious. While Yoda won the battle, Darth Sidious forced him to retreat in the end, and the Jedi Master then believed that he had failed the Jedi, and that he must go into exile. The voices of the former Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn led him to Dagobah, where he learned to connect with the living and cosmic force, and also how to communicate with the living. When Yoda was about to die, Luke Skywalker paid him a visit on Dagobah after failing to complete his Jedi training. Yoda reminded Luke that a Jedi's strength flows from the Force, and even advised him to not underestimate the Emperor's power. He further told him that Luke would be the last of the Jedi after his death, and that there was another Skywalker before finally dying. While Yoda was strong in the Force, he was not granted immortality, and he later returned as a Force ghost. It is theorized that Yoda died to teach Luke that death is only the beginning of a new chapter and not the end. While Yoda died, his spirit lived on, and he later appeared in his physical form and displayed all his powers and abilities, even as a Force ghost. While Yoda may not be immortal, he remains one of the most revered Jedi Masters who managed to retain most of his life even after his death. Conclusion. To sum it up, Yoda most definitely has a very peculiar and unique anatomy that makes him stand out among other characters in the franchise. His physiological features make up a big part of his personality, and this Jedi Master's unique identity has most certainly immortalized his character in the history of pop culture. As always, if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe out there, and thanks for watching.